Thanks for listening to this episode of Screen Facts with Jason Davis, your movie trivia and discussion podcast. Please like the Facebook page, facebook.com/screenfacts. If you have any comments or questions, that's a good place to leave them. You can also tweet me at Jason Davis Voice or email screenfacts@yahoo.com. And please also subscribe for free in the iTunes store to automatically get new episodes every Wednesday. Joining me on the podcast this week is my good pal, Erik Reitz. Hello, sir.
How you doing, Jason?
Good. Great to have you again. And I'm really excited for this movie.
Thrilled to be here.
First of all, this is a first for the podcast. We are going to talk about a movie that you and I actually watched together.
Woo!
Before we did the podcast.
Yeah, and you know what? It's also huge because to this point, we've only done a couple silly comedies from the 80s. So we're really branching out and doing a comedy from the 90s.
A silly comedy from the 90s.
Thank you for, entrusting me with this this bit of knowledge.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. You're just saying the title makes you laugh. Because the movie is so ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, again, this is another movie that saw with the friends and the quotes forever and ever.
Oh, yeah.
Things still fit like a glove. And, you're at somebody's house, you come out of the bathroom and, woo!
Do not go in there. Yeah. Released originally February 4th, 1994. Jim Carrey, of course, is the star. Courtney Cox, Sean Young, and a bunch of other people. Tone Loc.
Courtney Cox. Unbelievably hot.
I said Cox.
You said Cox.
Yeah, this was before Friends. You mentioned before we started recording that nobody really knew that much about her because she wasn't on Friends yet at this point. And I forgot about that.
I mean, she was really, at least with me, she was just known as, oh, she's the girl on that Springsteen video.
Yeah.
And, oh, wait, wasn't she Alex Keaton's girlfriend?
Yeah. And
but other than that,
I think she had one other series on NBC.
Okay. Well, and, even Jim Carrey wasn't really well known. I mean, I saw the movie because I knew Jim Carrey as a big fan of Living Color.
Yeah, and Living Color.
And he was just great in that show, so we were looking forward to seeing it. But really, Tone Loc was really the name at the time.
Which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
And we were just like, Tone Loc, why is he going to even be in this movie? And then Sean Young, remembered her from Stripes.
Right, which is, it's funny that this is the second Sean Young movie that we're talking about together on the podcast.
So, of course, we wanted to see her just because.
Yeah. I was going to say about Jim Carrey, a couple things. I had seen him prior to In Living Color in a couple of things. I'm pretty sure I saw him on a stand-up special at some point.
Yeah.
I remember him, with the rubber face and all that kind of stuff. He had done some movie stuff, smaller roles. He had like a really small part in a Dirty Harry movie of all things.
Did he really?
Yeah, the Deadpool. Which
man.
He plays like a rock star that ODs. But of course,
Earth Girls Are Easy.
Right.
That's right. With Jeff
One
Goldblum.
Spittin' too. Wasn't he in One Spittin', I think?
One Spittin', I think.
Yeah, a couple things, and he had a short-lived TV series. But In Living Color was his big breakthrough.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's so good on that show.
I remember seeing something like you're just doing stand-up. Now, this joke, I have to go really far back, and he just leans back and falls on the floor. And I'm like, wow, this guy's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Jim Carrey, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit, too. He's very polarizing. I think we love him, obviously.
Right.
We're talking about him and talking about this movie. But I think it's kind of like you either love him or you hate him. There's very few people in between.
Oh, sure. Well, and just like when this movie, was being made, who was the director? It was early in his career.
Yeah, Tom Shadyac. This is his directorial debut, and it's the first of 3 movies that he did with Jim Carrey as well.
Well, apparently, he said that after he saw the final cut, he thought this was going to be the end of his and Jim Carrey's career.
You can almost understand why he would feel that way, because this is a very, very silly movie. And I've always said that there's really nobody that could have made this work the way Jim Carrey does.
Yeah, when they talk about, who else was being considered for the part, well, first of all, it was written differently. I mean, it was always supposed to be, it was going to be some kind of comedy. And because they were talking about even Whoopi Goldberg being the lead role. It's like, what? You can't picture any of that.
Rick Moranis also turned down the title role.
Jim Carrey, when he got it, he's an artist. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his artwork.
Yep.
It's kind of odd, and it needs a little explanation. And then you realize that, wow, Jim, man, you're a pretty brilliant artist. So I love that this whole thing that it's a pet detective. So he develops this character that Like he said, all right, the hair is very swoopy, and he's wearing bright colored clothing because he's trying to mimic like a cockatiel or some kind of brightly colored bird.
Yeah.
It's like, that's great.
That's
And now,
amazing to me.
I wish I knew that before I watched the movie because I would have liked it even more.
Right.
Because then you see the way so many of his actions, like when he first meets Melissa and he's eating the seeds, and he's just like, really quickly eating them.
Yep.
And then he's putting the shells on her desk. And she says, "Would you like an ashtray?" And he says, "No, thank you. Smoking is a disgusting habit." Meanwhile, he's got all the seeds and crap in his teeth, and he looks disgusting.
So funny.
So he just put that brilliance, and it all made sense. It's about pets. It's about animals. He's like an animal activist in the movie.
Yep.
But he's also so much of a cartoon character.
Oh, absolutely.
And it just wouldn't have been Ace Ventura if it wasn't Jim Carrey doing it.
Well, that's why he's so perfect for the role, because he just, everything he does with his face, and like you said, the bird-like actions, the walk.
And there's so many animal-type things that he's doing. Aside from that, like when he's driving in his car, it gets smashed at the beginning. So
the windshield. He's got his head out the window like a dog.
Out the window like a dog. When they're in the mansion, and there was the issue with the toilet. We'll get to that, but when he says, "If I'd been drinking out of that toilet, I could be dead.
I could have been killed."
Well, yeah, who drinks out of a toilet?
A dog, right?
A dog. So that was just brilliance. The whole thing with the character development, he was just great.
I saw this movie sort of on a whim. This is another one, when we talked about Stripes, I mentioned that I remembered seeing that in a movie that showed second run movies, after they had been in the theater for a while. So Ace Ventura was a different theater, but it was the same thing. It was the old Cinema 35 on Route 4 in Paramus, which is not there anymore. It's like, a furniture store or something now. But my brother and I, hey, Ace Ventura Pet Detective is playing at Cinema 35. It was like, I think it was literally $1 to get in, and the place was a dump. It was just, but we're like, you know what? We'll go. If it sucks, it costs less than a rental.
Right.
But we love Jim Carrey, so let's go check it out. And I'm telling you, I remember I never laughed so hard in my life.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah. I mean, when we watched it recently with my wife, she was like, mildly amused.
Not her kind of humor, though.
No.
That's what I'm talking about, like polarizing. Either you love this stuff or you don't. And the cool thing about Jim Carrey, this movie, he's completely over the top. I bet Kathy would probably like the other two movies that he did with Tom Shadyac, Liar Liar and Bruce Almighty.
Right.
Because there's a little more depth to those. I mean, he's still Jim Carrey and he still does some over-the-top sort of stuff, but it's not completely silly like this movie. You know, and there's a little, kind of moral center to those movies.
Oh,
too.
definitely. And, well, the other interesting thing when talking about character development, he met with Anthony Hopkins. Jim Carrey was a big fan of The Silence of the Lambs, and when they were talking about how they developed their characters, Anthony Hopkins said that he used like a reptile or like an iguana, something like that.
Yeah, for his movements and his persona.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. And you think about, when he's like talking about having somebody over and he...
Yeah, and he doesn't blink. He's really intense.
Yeah, he doesn't blink.
Yeah, very cold.
Yeah. And Jim Carrey's like, well, I kind of did the same thing.
Except for Bird. Yes, Bird.
Yeah, Bird.
It's pretty cool. And to think that there's a similarity between this and The Silence of the Lambs is crazy.
But that's
so
the
different.
Art. That's the art.
Yeah, people forget that Jim Carrey can actually act. I mean, he's not just,
actor,
a manic, crazy, funny guy. I mean, he's done some serious stuff too. Truman Show
That was fantastic.
Yeah, and he did a movie called The Majestic, which is a Frank Darabont movie.
Okay.
Which I've seen, and I know I liked it because I have a copy of it, but it's been such a long time since I've seen it that I don't really remember it. But it's it's a longer movie.
Let's watch it and talk about it.
I probably should because I'm sure I would enjoy revisiting that. But yeah, I mean he can act, and the other thing I like about him too is that he's done some charity things, but he's also he gave a commencement speech at a university that's you can see on YouTube. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's the Maharishi School of Management or something like that. And
some,
first of all, I thought it was a spoof. I'm like,
it's a progressive school. It's a very different kind of school. But his speech is very inspirational. It's
very
pretty
much.
amazing.
And he presents a piece of artwork that's made up of several different faces, and you look at it and you're like, all right, that's neat. It's kind of a mishmash, but then he explains about how, there's fear that keeps you from realizing your dreams, and that feeds off ignorance and all this other stuff. And it's like, holy cow, now I see it. And that's just the kind of, artist he is, and that's the kind of thing we see in his character of Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
When he was in Living Color, he had a character called the overconfident gay man.
Yeah. I forgot all about that character. I'm sure I saw it when it was on originally,
yeah. And that's the very beginning of Ace.
Yeah, like his speech pattern is very similar in that. And you can look that up on YouTube as well and see the sketches where you'll go, oh, wow, I recognize that.
And at one point he's like, all righty then.
Yeah.
But it's nowhere.
It's not as
hyped.
Right.
And
it's not as elongated as the one he does as Ace Ventura.
And what I just think is so funny in the movie is that it's really Jim Carrey doing something in every scene, and for the most part, other people standing around watching.
Oh yeah, this is totally. I mean, this is a Jim Carrey movie all the way, without a doubt. Yeah, it's just like let the cameras roll, let Jim Carrey do his thing, and stay out of his way.
Yeah, it reminds me of
Robin Williams. Yeah.
A lot of times they would write something and say, "Okay,
absolutely.
now Robin, be funny."
Yeah,
and I'm sure they did the same thing with.
It's funny you mentioned Robin Williams because I think if there was anybody else that could even remotely be manic enough to pull this role off, it might have been him. But this is even beyond what he would have done, probably. It's just so silly. And Jim Carrey is probably better at silly than Robin Williams. Robin Williams has had this manic energy.
Oh, no doubt.
But Jim Carrey takes the cartoonish kind of silliness to a whole different level.
Well, and the physicalness.
Absolutely.
Was a huge part of this. I mean, like the way he just is moving his head around, the way he's walking, the scene where he's in the mansion and he's trying to find, he thinks Snowflake is there.
Right,
Snowflake being
the dolphin, right?
Miami dolphin. And he's like climbing over banisters, like as if he's on a
Mission Impossible team.
Impossible, and he's 1,000 feet above ground, and he's not. He's just doing it because it's neat, and then he swings over to an open door. Well, he doesn't have to swing; he's just standing there.
Exactly,
but he looks like he's climbing the wall. It's great.
I like in that scene too when he's walking through the crowded party, and he walks past the violin player or the cellist, and he grabs his arm and makes him do a bum note. Totally improvised. So funny.
Exactly. How great is that?
It's amazing. So the story is by a guy named Jack Bernstein. Originally, Ace was going to be more of a generic, sort of a Sherlock Holmes parody.
Right.
And there was actually, they were going to make him sort of a bumbling guy, like a Inspector Clouseau, yeah. And then they decided that he was going to actually be like serious and kind of badass in a way.
Yeah. So they were all over the place.
But Bernstein came up with the pet detective idea after seeing a David Letterman sketch about pet owners.
I wonder if it was just the stupid pet tricks thing.
Maybe.
I always loved that because Letterman would say, "This is just an exhibition, not a competition. Please, no wagering."
That's classic. So Jack Bernstein, Tom Shadyac, and Jim Carrey wrote the screenplay. And although he's not credited, Steve Odekirk, who would later go on to write and direct the sequel to this movie, which to me was more of a cash grab. There's funny moments in it. Not a great movie, though, I don't think. But anyway,
I liked it. I mean, I thought it was a pretty interesting departure.
I mean, there was a couple of funny moments, but all in all, it just, to me, it didn't move as quick. It just wasn't as good. But Jim Carrey and Steve Odekirk would work on jokes for this movie after working like 15 or 16 hours on In Living Color. Yeah. And Odekirk described himself and Jim Carrey as two giddy idiots tossing jokes around. And I can imagine what that must be like, just spitballing with Jim Carrey.
Can you imagine? Yeah,
so
after working a 15-hour day.
You're probably punchy already, right?
Right, yeah. And then you got Jim Carrey in your face.
Oh, my God.
All he's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, God. What can we do with that?
So this movie was a big moneymaker, too. They made it for about $12 million. And then
which is like half the salary that he gets now.
Well, yeah, I mean, he wasn't making Jim Carrey money then.
Right.
There's a good story about that too. I'll get to that in a second. Okay. So the movie grossed domestically $72.2 million, worldwide $107.2 million. For a silly movie like this, first-time director, and basically Jim Carrey's first starring role.
Right.
That's great. Jim Carrey, going back to his personal life, when he was growing up, he didn't come from a lot. At one time, I think he and his parents actually lived in a van.
Wow.
He struggled growing up, but he and his dad had a very tight bond. They made each other laugh. That was like the big thing between them. And at one point, before he was really famous, this is all about visualization and manifestation and all that. He wrote a check to himself, paid to the order of Jim Carrey for acting services rendered $20 million. Lo and behold, however many years later, after the success of this and The Mask, he earned $20 million for, I think, either Dumb and Dumber or one of the movies after that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to think that he visualized making $20 million, and there it is.
That's awesome. I'm going to do that.
You know what?
I'll just do like $5 million. I don't need 20.
You really got to believe it, though.
Yeah.
You really got to believe that you deserve it, or you can make it happen. And apparently he did.
Can we talk about Courtney Cox a little bit?
Sure.
Because she was very hot in this movie, I thought. She was absolutely
Wait. Before we talk about Courtney Cox, let's get it out of the way because, we can't do a podcast together without mentioning, of course, boobage. So there's no naked boobage in this movie.
Right. There's no boobage.
Yes, there is.
We have cleavage.
But it's the closest thing to actual boobage. Actually, there's two moments of almost boobage in this movie. The first one is the woman whose dog Ace rescues from Randall Tex Cobb in the beginning.
Okay.
When he's kicking the package around.
Right. What a great opening.
Oh
now,
my
did
God.
you notice it's
HDS.
It was HDS. So then if you flip those letters upside down,
yes,
then it's close to,
UPS, right, which
I
obviously
don't know why
they're doing a parody
they
of.
use an H. They should have used an N. Because then it would be you.
That's true.
So, I don't know, somebody...
Maybe they didn't want it to be that close to
no
UPS.
graphic designer. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, that scene where he's kicking the package and throwing the... Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
Right there from the beginning, you're seeing his physicality.
Oh, yeah.
When he's like in the hall and, and he kicks the...
We're going downtown.
We're going downtown. He kicks it. And
he gives him the package. Sounds broken. Most likely, sir.
Most likely, sir.
I bet it was nice.
And then, of course, there's the dog that he's trying to rescue. You boo boo.
Oh, you boo boo. And then the guy's like getting ready to throw up in his mouth. But yeah, that whole scene's really funny. But anyway, so he brings the dog back to the woman. And she's wearing she might as well have her boobs out at that point.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's like, well, how can I repay you? Should I give you money or pull down your pants? Let me think. And then, he holds on to the door jamb and goes for a ride.
What the heck was she doing to him? The way he's flopping around and stuff, could that possibly have felt nice? Maybe I've just had a sheltered life. I don't know, but
I think it's an over-the-top BJ is what's going on there. Is my
guess.
guess.
But when I first
either that or she's rubbing one out on him really, really hard.
Yikes! Well, exactly. Then he's gonna be all bloody and horrible.
Obviously, it's done for laughs, so he's well,
again,
real friendly around these parts.
Well, again, it's just the physicality,
exactly.
the over the top, the cartoony aspect of it.
So that's almost boobage, and then later on in the movie, when he pulls Sean Young's clothes off, when he's trying to expose her as a man,
right?
She's in her bra, and that's almost boobies too.
That's okay.
It's like PG-13 or whatever, or maybe PG. I don't even know.
Yeah, but then that scene turned gross real quick.
Yeah, that went south really fast. When she's got the
Mr. Winky. All right, do we talk about that later?
So getting back to Courtney Cox. I'm sorry, I interrupted you wanted to talk about Courtney Cox. So.
Courtney Cox. I read something that apparently many years later, Jennifer Aniston came to visit her and brought a copy of the movie Ace Ventura. Courtney did not want to watch it. Apparently she was not very happy having that in her history, which I don't know why.
I never understand that. I don't think it's anything she should be ashamed of.
No.
First of all, if anybody, quote unquote, looks bad in this movie, it's Jim Carrey. Again.
Only because he's the one carrying the whole thing.
Exactly. She's just kind of there, and not that she's no disrespect to her.
Yeah, I don't know what they're like. Maybe Jennifer was kind of rubbing her face and saying, oh, look, I never had to do a movie this silly.
Which is funny to me because Jennifer Aniston, before Friends, did a lot of stinkers, too. She did those...
Was a leprechaun?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not like she was like this thespian.
Right, so I can't imagine that she'd be trying to rub anything in Courtney's face. Another thing I read, thought was very interesting, that, Courtney was saying that during their lovemaking scene, some of the animals got loose and they kept having like a cockatoo getting in under the sheets, which of course that leads to too many cocks under the sheets.
Oh,
thank you. Been here all weekend. Yes. Took me all week to come up with that one. You get it? Because, her name's Cox and then you got cockatoos.
Thank you for, and Jim Carrey's, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him. All right, so there's a lot of extra Cox in there.
So I had mentioned that there was a TV series that Courtney Cox had done that was on for a little bit. Misfits of Science. That was the one I couldn't remember.
Oh my God, what the heck's that? Never even heard.
Yeah,
of it.
It was short lived.
You are The Screen Facts.
Yeah, it was only on for a few years, but
Okay.
I remember that. But that came about shortly after the Dancing in the Dark video, and she had done some other guest shots on TV. Ace Ventura was the first higher profile movie that she had done, and then of course Friends, happened
Friends
shortly
was the big
thereafter.
thing.
Yeah.
So now we've actually talked a little about the first scene with the cleavage.
Right.
All right. And then we're moving on to he's coming home.
Yeah.
And he's trying to sneak past his landlord.
Right.
And what was the landlord's name?
Mr. Chickadance.
Chickadance. Now, there's some history to that, apparently.
Yeah, when he was growing up in Toronto, he lived in an apartment building that was managed by the Chickadance brothers.
Chickadance.
And actually, the guy who plays Mr. Chickadance, Mark Margolis, has been on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul as Hector Salamanca.
Oh, he's a badass.
Yeah, he's really good as a bad guy, too.
Yeah, I like him. He's great.
There's a funny thing that I love every time I watch the movie in that scene where he's trying to sneak past the landlord. He grabs like the big leaf.
palm tree
Yeah,
leaf.
the palm leaf. And he walks past the window, and then he puts it down. There's a pile of them.
Right, yeah. Right. So he's obviously doing this
All the
quite a
time,
lot.
yeah.
Chickadance,
Yeah.
Gets him in the hall before he goes
Ventura. Yes, Satan?
Yes, Satan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were someone else.
The landlord's saying, I'm hearing animals and blah, blah, blah. So
I hear them scratching, Ventura. So he's so over the top.
you're so good. And Ace is just, he jiggles,
Yeah.
The keys.
Yeah, he signals the
And
animals.
his animals, they all hide and they walk in. Now I'm thinking, then later when Chickadance leaves and you see all these animals come in, it's like, all right, all the animals were hiding, but you can't tell me there was no smell.
Don't analyze the movie too much.
I know,
This is
there
Ace
I go.
Ventura, Pet Detective.
Right, okay.
I think it's
I'm
funny how
analyzing
the
too
animals
much.
hide in the appropriate places. Like the penguin comes out of the freezer, the skunk comes out of the laundry basket, the squirrel comes out of the can of nuts, and so on. It's really funny.
But
I
nice
love how
little details.
Yeah. And I love how when, he says, "Are you satisfied? All right then, bye-bye," and he slams the door in his face. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. The ass talking scene.
Holy crap! What?
Almost literally.
What a brilliant! Has anybody ever done that before?
No, and
That's
it's
great.
funny how that came about. That actually started on In Living Color. He was frustrated one day with Keenan Ivory Wayans. Apparently, Keenan Ivory Wayans would reject his scripts a lot, his ideas for sketches. And he stood up, bent over, and started to read a sketch from his butt in Keenan's direction. And they almost actually came to blows over it.
Wow!
But apparently they sat down and talked, worked it out. Because he was, as far as I know, Jim Carrey was on that show pretty much
whole
for
time.
the entire run. I think maybe the last season or two he might not have been.
Right, yeah.
Because by that time the movie career had taken off.
Damon left earlier than
exactly.
than Jim did.
Yeah, there were actually Wayans who left before Jim Carrey did.
Right. Well, that's a great scene. So he's walking in to the police station. He's trying to get information before Einhorn comes in, who's the lieutenant and all that. So Tone Loc is
Right. His guy on the inside.
his buddy on the inside.
Right.
So,
Emilio.
I just love how, when he does the ass thing, he just bends over, and all these great lines come out, like, "Now I don't want to make a stink. Let me ask you some questions.
Do you have a breath mint?
Do you have a breath mint?
Perhaps some Banaka? I love what Tone Loc says to him. He says something like, "If Einhorn comes in here and catches me talking to you or your ass, I'm in trouble," or something like that. Holy Testicle Tuesday.
I love that there's several Batman references in this movie. And it's cool because then, a year or two later, Jim Carrey's I think he's the
Riddler. Yep.
But there's some other Batman things. You got the Testicle Tuesday.
Which was never actually said on the TV series Batman.
Oh, I heard it. I heard it. Adam West,
But
man.
that's clearly a play on the things that Robin would say to Batman.
Sure.
Right?
I think the other, and this is jumping way ahead in the movie, when Ace goes to Ray Finkel's house. Ray Finkel's father answers the door, and that's played by Bill Zuckert, and he appeared in the next to last episode of the TV show Batman with Adam West.
Oh, funny.
So, I mean, that's just kind of, I thought
that's a funny line, too, when he goes, "I'm looking for Ray Finkel," and he pulls the shotgun out and he goes,
and then he puts the shotgun in his face.
"And a clean pair of shorts." And of course, this is when we find out that he's in the mental hospital, Shady Acres, which is named for the director, Tom Shadyac, by the way. When he's sitting there in the waiting room and Courtney Cox is talking to the doctor, trying to admit him.
Right.
And he does that whole slow motion scene like he's catching the football.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see that in an instant replay. And he does it backward. Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy
the
good.
sound effects
Yep,
that
so
he
funny.
makes and his movements.
And he talks like he's talking backwards. So funny.
It was great. Well, then when they're walking around and he's outside, they're walking outside and he's just running around. I'm open.
He seems to have a hard time letting go of the game.
He's got the tutu on and everything. The hair's wild. Now they're walking through the asylum, and when he hears the doctor say, that's the storeroom. So, halftime. So he's doing the marching band thing. Then he kneels in front of that bench and just slams his face on the bench.
And it really looks like he does it, too.
It sounded
Well,
bad.
the sound, I imagine, maybe could have been put in post, but it really looks like he slams his face hard into that thing.
Oh, it did.
Another great piece of physicality in that scene when he's in the closet. First, the bubble wrap is funny. Yeah, it's just, he's trying to be discreet and pop, 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 pop. But then when he thinks that a janitor or somebody's coming into the room, he tries to stuff himself into the box. So while he's in the closet, he discovers all kinds of interesting things about Ray Finkel and his obsession with Dan Marino. And then we find out later on that Lieutenant Einhorn has something to do with some of this stuff. And in all the times that I've seen this movie, there's one thing that I missed. Right. That's sort of a foreshadowing in the movie that Sue caught when we watched it together.
Yes.
When Ace goes to Einhorn's office and he goes, hey, I solved that whole Redactor Snowflake Dan Marino case. And on her desk, there is a banana and two apples arranged to look phallic.
Never
noticed it before. Sue pointed it out, and that's foreshadowing because we find out after Ace does a little bit more research.
Digging. Well, now here's the thing. Who helps him realize that? The dog helps him out. How awesome is that?
Yeah, he's got like all these pictures and news clippings and all kinds of stuff on the floor, and he's racking his brain trying to figure out what's the connection between Einhorn and Finkel and this, that, and the other thing. And then the dog is like a terrier of some sort, lays down, and the hair arranges just so on Finkel's picture.
Right.
Which, by the way, is a picture of Sean Young with a mustache.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Which is funny. And he puts it all together. He's like, oh my God, Finkel is
Einhorn.
Einhorn
is Finkel.
Einhorn isn't a man. And then he flashes back in his head that he was making out with her on her desk.
Yes.
And your gun is digging into my hip. And then he proceeds to like strip off his clothes, go in the shower. He's making himself throw up, all kinds of stuff.
Right, yeah. He's got the plunger on the face, trying to plunge everything out.
And it's funny because Tom Shadyac and the film itself got a lot of heat from the LGBT community, saying that was homophobic and transphobic. Right. And he said that it really wasn't about making fun of trans people, Shadyac said. It was more about how easily Ace would be broken by something as simple as that. He's the epitome of cool. He walks around and he struts and he's, got it all figured out. And then like he accidentally, unknowingly kisses a man and he just loses his shit completely. So one of the things we forgot to talk about was earlier on in the movie when he's in Snowflake's tank.
He climbs up out of the tank, but he's got this voice going. He's doing this German voice.
This dolphin trainer.
To train the dolphin, you must think like the dolphin. You must be getting inside the dolphin's head. I am saying to Snowflake, "Aka, aka, aka, aka," and he's saying, "Aka, aka, 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 aye, ee, ee." But you can quote him, and it's great because his brilliance is just shown.
Yeah, there. He knows how to like take a situation and make it work.
But I remember that whole scene was not in the theater.
Yeah, that was added for the home video release.
Which is hilarious. I'm glad it's there.
Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, the big thing is that he's trying to catch this albino pigeon for a $25,000 reward. But then they come full circle at the end of the movie when he's at the game.
Right.
And he sees the bird on top of the Gatorade.
Right.
And he's trying to sneak up on it, and then the mascot for the Eagles like swoops it away.
Right, and gets some Gatorade.
Yeah. And he goes, "Thanks, Polly."
He jumps on him and starts beating the crap out of the bird.
It's just great.
And
so funny.
And then it's put up on the Jumbotron.
Yeah. Just the idea of him punching the big giant eagle head on the mascot is so funny looking.
And, as he's punching, the head is collapsing in. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's good that they kind of brought everything full circle in the end. I like that.
That was a really good ending.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, thanks so much for joining me for another episode, and thanks to you for listening. What are your favorite scenes from this movie? Remember, you can leave your comments and questions at our Facebook page, facebook.com/screenfacts. You can also tweet me at Jason Davis Voice or email screenfacts@yahoo.com. Don't forget to help out the show by giving us a rating and commenting on iTunes. You can support the show by buying Screen Facts merchandise on the podcast page of jasondavisvoice.com. Show theme music by Audionautics.com. And thanks to WickedRadioNetwork.com and our announcer Kim from Kim'sVoice.com.
All righty then.
Screen Facts with Jason Davis is a production of Jason Davis VoiceOver. Visit JasonDavisVoice.com if you need a voice for a commercial, narration, promo, internet video, e-learning or training program, and more. Click on the podcast page to get information about where you can download and listen to past episodes. Listen again next Wednesday for a new episode of Screen Facts with Jason Davis.